Hey, what's going on, party people? This is Lace We here, back at it. We got another one here. If this is your first time, welcome. It's definitely a pleasure having you guys in. Now, if this is your first time, I talk about spirituality. So therefore, I break bread as I like to talk about it. And spirituality, essentially is just your life. It's everything that you do, because we are spirit, meaning, there's a non-tangible side of us. And that side of us is pretty much the side that rules us. Our life is being shaped by what we know. You know what I'm saying? Your emotions, your feelings, your intellect. But all of those aspects of yourself are non physical aspect of you. And that's what makes you spirit. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, on that same note, that's why I can't. I mean, it doesn't make sense for me to disembody spirituality or to make it distant. Because what you have in actual religion is that they actually create this God figure. Oh, in fact, you know what? We're going to talk about all that shit. We're going to talk about all that. But essentially, what a lot of people do, they dissociate God from their life. And once you do that, your life became, there's no juice, man. You ain't juicy at all. You know what I'm saying? You got to lubricate, baby. You know what I'm saying? That's when you become rigid. Do you see what I'm saying? Let's just think about it. Like, if you all about the intellect, so therefore you have no emotions. And the proper balance or the perfect man, the holy man, meaning the complete man, it's understanding or embracing both the intellect and your emotions. In so many words, when we talk about emotional intelligence, that's what we're talking about. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm a little bit excited, as you can see. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so technically that's what I talk about. And that's why I don't, distant spirituality from your life. In other words, how else would you be a spiritual being having a human experience? It wouldn't make sense. Do you see what I'm saying? And I also going to be talking about the psychological aspect of dissociating or disembodying God into your life. Do you see what I'm saying? We're gonna talk about all of that. I'm on some bullshit. So hold up, let me get my tea real quick. Where my drink at, man? Here we go. So let's get into it. So technically, the past couple of weeks I've been talking about Kabbalion, and the reason why I've been talking about the Kabbalion was because what I'm saying, I wanted to help out by helping you to open up your heart. Do you see what I'm saying? And for the best way for you to do that, you would need to have the heart knowledge. You need to feed the heart. Whichever, okay, so you have your intellect, you also have your heart, right? Whichever one you feed the most, that's what's going to lead you. Do you see what I'm saying? However, one, for lack of better terms here, right? One is more powerful than the other. And the more powerful one would be the heart. Because when you open up your heart, it helps you see things that you didn't see before. Whereas the intellect is one sided. The heart, its knowledge expand your consciousness. It helps you see things that the mind wouldn't see. Perfect example. Like I've used that example like numerous of time, where when this prostitute was being brought to Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think? Should we stone her? That's what the intellect says. That's what the law says. But with the heart knowledge, it's like, whoa, we all sin, man. Say what the fuck? We all the same. Let's try to figure it out. Is that the best way to go about it? Do you see what I'm saying? In other words, when you go strictly by your intellect, it makes you very rigid. You know what I'm saying? There's no flow, there's no life, there's no, what's the word that I'm looking at? There's no flavor. There's no swag. You ain't swagging out here, man. You become robotic. You know what I'm saying? You become a linear, like just you seeing things in one aspect. Whereas with the heart, So therefore, for you to open up yourself, for you to get in touch with your true self or with your higher self, you got to get into your heart. And you need to get the heart knowledge that's going to allow you to do that. Also known as the tree of life, meaning the type of knowledge that will help you to open up your eyes or seeing the world on a bigger scale. And that's what the Kabbalion does for you. And that's why this shit is public domain. Everybody should definitely, you got to get on it. That's your Bible. That's your true Bible, to be honest, because it gives you the tool, for you to navigate life. But most importantly, the mystery of the Kabbalion, it's not just for you to navigate through life, but it's also for you to master yourself. Because as you master yourself, that's how you master your life. The key about, doing things down here, you have to be that. You can't love if you're not about love. It doesn't work. And it's not going to work. You have to become that first. In so many words, I'm also talking about the law of vibration here, or also known as the law of attraction, which I already talk about. But, to do something, you have to be it. And that's how you vibrate on the same level. And that's how you attract who you are. Do you understand what I'm saying? So already, I'm already talking about what I'm saying, just so many different words, what I'm saying, like not so many different words. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's like even though I didn't mention the like that law, it's there once you know what it is. So now if you're not aware of what the law is, by learning from about the law, then you start to apply it into your life. And that's how the flesh, the words is being made flesh. But anyway, so I talked about that, and that's pretty much in a nutshell, the reason why I wanted to talk about the Kabbalion. But it's public domain, it's totally out there, but not a lot of people obviously know about it. So, and there's tons of speakers too who actually talk about it. So it's a win-win for you, and technically what I'm doing is giving you my interpretation of it, I'm saying, on a smaller scale, pretty much, because this shit is really deep. Like, it's once you get into it, there's layers to it. Do you see what I'm saying? Even by me telling you, because if you read the book, I don't think there's nowhere in the book where the book is telling you this is about self mastering. It doesn't put it that way. But once you understand the laws and you start to apply them into yourself, that's how you master yourself. At the end of the day, what I'm saying, you're going to turn out to be a complete product. And that's the good thing about hard work. Like they say, it's not necessarily, the result that you get from hard work, but it's the person that you become. And that's how we are pretty much unraveling the mystery. There's a mystery behind everything. You got to fund it though. And that's how you have that aha moment. But most importantly, that's how you master it. But anyway, I'm on some bullshit. So I talked about the law of mentalism, which is the very first law that tells you all is mental. You know what I'm saying? Then we talked about the law of correspondence. And the one thing I always stress out and let people know, if all is mental, right, there's nothing else that comes after that. So therefore, these other six principles are pretty much a derivatives, or there are like different aspect of the same thing because we are multi-dimensional. You know what I'm saying? Like we could talk about the same thing, but in different aspect of it. We're touching different aspect of the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like you could see, like when we talk about the law of correspondence, I'll give you a perfect example. It tells you as it is within, so it is without. But how do you get within? It all starts here. So you can't really dissociate, the law of mentalism. Pretty much everything else derives from it, but in different layers and different plane. It's helping you to get to the conclusion that everything is mental. And as you get to that conclusion, now you master it, knowing that you are spirit. But anyway, then we got into the third law. I talked about, I think it was, yeah, it was the law of vibration, if I'm not mistaken. Again, as you vibrate, all of that vibration, right? So pretty much it's telling you about you, the person that you are, right? And how do you raise your frequency? By changing your mentality, by acquiring more knowledge. That's how you become more, you get on a higher vibration. Again, all is mental. And as you're doing so, as it is within, so it is without. So now you are attracting, you are in perfect alignment with what you are attracting or vibrating or whatever the fuck, however the fuck you want to call it. Law of manifestation, attraction, it all comes down to vibration. And to vibrate a certain way, you got to be on that mental wave. So they are all connected. And what was the other one? Fuck. What was the other one? Oh, there's seven of them. But anyway, the one I'm going to be talking about today is the law of gender, right? So then we have the law of rhythm. Rhythm pretty much tells you, you know what I'm saying, like the pendulum swings. Everything is vibration. We already talked about that. Nothing rest. I mean rest. I think that's the law of vibration. But anyway, rhythm tells you everything that goes up goes down. Meaning you could be happy, you could be mad. They are all the same thing. Just like I think the example that they use, shit, I'll fucking use my own shit. Hot water and cold water. At the end of the day, still water. The difference really is in degree. Meaning, if it's a hot water, the temperature is going to be high. And if cold water, the temperature is going to be lower or a low, yeah, lower, right? But yet we're still talking about water. So understanding that principle, it helps you to master your mind, or again, or master, like you can't change everything that goes up must come down. But what that does to you is it helps you to transmute. Let's just say if you're feeling sad right now, it's the same, you know what I'm saying? So you just gotta have to raise your vibration. Not necessarily your vibration. What's the word that I'm looking for here? Your, I don't know, like when you sad, you're not happy, right? We're talking about the same feeling. All you got to do at this point, once you understand that, start thinking about shit that's going to make you happy. Again, all comes from the state of mind. And you got to be careful too. As you're becoming unhappy, guess what you're going to do? You're going to, as it is within, so it is without. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or even in life, they have what is called in the business world like business cycles. That cycle never ends. It goes up, it goes down, right, left. It swings. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, you got to know how to neutralize it. Or if you want to be mad too, like a lot of motherfuckers are mad every day intentionally. I mean, they're not aware of it, but you know, that's when you become a master, like a slave of your emotions, because you have not mastered it. You're not aware of it. But anyway, that would be rhythm, and then polarity. Polarity technically tells you, hey man, what is good could be bad, what is bad could be good. We're talking about the same thing. Well, at least that's the way that I look at it. It tells you pretty much, it talks about duality, opposite meets. Once you understand, and I think the best example that I always use, and I think I got that from Brother Panic, You know what I'm saying? Because I really loved the way he said that, and I felt like, whoa, that's the best way. That it really clicked with me. So I always say it. It's like, you know what I'm saying, like your family, your mom and dad, could be good, and they can also be the worst thing you can ever have. Because if both of them are stupid, and that's what happens to a lot of us, obviously. I mean, when I say obviously, like I'm trying to say, what I'm saying, when you have a slave mentality that's been passed down from generation to generation, now your parents are fucking you up. So in that sense, fuck your parents. Do you see what I'm saying? But on the flip side of it, if these motherfuckers are smart, and that's why we worship the fucking ancestors, because they open up doors for us. Do you see what I'm saying? And again, this is for lack of better terms. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even if they're fucked up, I still worship them. For me personally. Do you see what I'm saying? Um, and by me saying that, all I'm saying is take it for what it is. If that's what the motherfucker got, that's what he gives you. You can't give what you don't have. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm also taking accountability too. You know what I'm saying? But that would be a whole different conversation. So polarity technically tells you, what I'm saying, help you to transcend, not to be stuck in duality. In other words, duality is another word. It's another way of saying the tree of good and evil. Don't be stuck in this is good, this is bad, this is bad, this is good. No, it could go both ways. Anything that is good could be bad. So therefore, what this is really teaching you, the mystery of that, is for you to transcend, to go beyond good and bad. And as a perfect man or as a holy man, when I'm talking about perfection here, I'm not talking about being flawless. I'm talking about being complete, right? So, as being the holy man, that's you transcend. And for you to transcend, that's where ma'at comes in. And when we're talking about balance on this plane, it's not half and half. No, it's for you to be in this physical form, you got to be fully spiritual. That's how you balance it out. It's to know the truth, it's to be in alignment. So the law of polarity technically is talking to you about transcendence. You got to go beyond good and bad. When you stay in that good and bad mentality, that's when you become judgmental. You know what I'm saying? Or you're not looking at the bigger picture. So that's polarity. What was the other one? Shit, and I talk about all them shits too, but I can't. Anyway, I was just on my shit. Um, what's the other one? Polarity, and then we talk about vibration. I'm gonna be talking about gender. What am I missing? I feel like I'm missing one of them. Polarity, vibration. The fuck? I guess it'll get to me. Um, hold on. Let me look the shit up, man. Okay, let me look the shit up. You know what I mean? That's the best way. Seven hermetic principles. What are they? What am I missing here? What am I missing here? So please bear with me. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you know, we don't memorize the shit. We live it. And that's what you want. You know what I'm saying? But of course, as a speaker, as I know that I was coming over here talking, I should have, however you want to look at it, dog. And the flip side of it too, this is polarity on your ass. Now the flip side of that shit, it's just everything I just told you just now, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Which is all good. You feel me? You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't say anything wrong. What am I missing? Vibration. We talk about polarity. We talk about rhythm, cause and effect. I knew I was missing your ass. Cause and effect, man. Cause and effect. Every effect has a cause. In other words, that's just another way of looking at the law of correspondence. As it is within, so it is without. So understanding the effect or the cause, you know what I'm saying? Like if you put the work in, you can't harvest if you didn't plant the seed, babe. This is all about work. Do you see what I'm saying? Understanding that it's like, I mean, you if you think the rock, like how do you get a body like the rock, man? This motherfucker lives in the gym. I mean, not literally, obviously. You know, I don't even know his workout routine, but I know this motherfucker works out like a motherfucker. There's no way around it. Same thing. To be smart, you got to feed your mind. That's why it takes practice for you to be smart, just like it takes practice for you to be stupid. It's not a miracle. Like stupid motherfuckers, you don't just be stupid. Like you practice it every day. Meaning every time you don't read a book, every time you don't do anything that expand or gives you something a little bit something more than what you already had, you're practicing it, dog. So we are all devoted already. Like I always like to tell people, you're already devoted. You're already doing the hard work. All you got to do now, you just got to flip it. You got to flip it. In so many words, cause and effect, man. You got to flip it. So all of that is making you to be aware. You know, it's allowing you to take accountability because without accountability, you can't do nothing. So now let's jump into the last shit that I want to talk about here. Now, the law of gender. Everything has masculinity and femininity. And we're not talking about sex here. We're talking about, I'll give you a perfect example. Well, fuck it. Even in gay relationship, lesbian, gays, whatever the fuck, there's always a masculine energy and there's always a feminine energy. So what we're talking about here, we're talking about, you know, the way you are. Like some people are a little more, you know what I'm saying? Like I'll give you, well, I mean, I'm not going to call out name. Well, okay, let me just use myself. Like, I, and I'll tell you why I'm laughing because when I said I was talking to this fake spiritual bitch, right? You know, I was telling her, as I got into, get to know myself, knowing that I was a divine feminine, and like by me saying that, and I could tell her vibration switch a little bit, right? So I'm like, okay, let me keep talking, but I knew she was a little bit fake too. Well, not a little bit. It's either you fake or you're not, right? So check this out, right? So I go like, you know what I'm saying? Then I notice how uncomfortable, not uncomfortable, but I could feel like, man, she there's something she want to ask me about, right? So I kind of like, as I was talking about it, I didn't want to make it obvious. So I finish up my point a little bit quicker. And I'm like, so what you think about the divine feminine and shit? Like, yeah, man, it's pretty cool and dandy and all. Like, have you ever been with a man? I'm like, what the what you know what I'm saying? Like, one has nothing to do with the other. But it was until a couple conversation later I realized, yo, she was fucking everything. She was fucking dogs, cats. So obviously that's how she resonated. Like that's what she got out of it. You know what I'm saying? Just like if you remember, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys saw Raw with Eddie Murphy. It's like you know what I'm saying. He was talking about Bill Cosby, right? And pretty much he was saying, Bill Cosby didn't want him to use profanity and shit. And this nigga said, "What the fuck? Like, you can't do a profanity show. Like, you just go on stage and be like, suck dicks, pussy, you know what I'm saying? Eat my ass, whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? Fuck you, and then good night, everybody." I'm saying you don't do a show like that. Like use profanity, just like me when I'm talking. Profanity is part of what I'm saying. But if you stuck on that, that should tell you where you at. You know, you know where you at. Period. But anyway, so a little bit of side note, and I was laughing about that because I remember that when I saying that to her. It's like what I'm saying. Like one has nothing to do with the fucking other. Like just like Prince. As Prince started to evolve, or maybe he got in touch with his feminine side, that's when he started wearing the heel and shit. Now, I ain't doing that shit. But for me, my feminine side reflected in my hair. Because when I started growing spiritually, that shit was crazy. I started growing my hair naturally. I couldn't stop it. I didn't understand it. I didn't know what the fuck was happening. I just knew as I was growing spiritually, it was just us. That was just an effect of it. I'm like, okay, let me go along. You know what I'm saying? So much so, it got to a point where when I started having dreads and shit, I remember I went to the supermarket, right? And then, we were actually in line. And then as, I was thinking about my shit and shit, I was in deep thoughts. And it was time for me to, what I'm saying, I was next to actually move up next. And I just didn't see it. And then there was this guy behind me. He's like, "Yo, Dread, it's your time." I'm like, yeah. And when he said Dread, I started looking around like, who the fuck's this nigga talking to? Like, because I never even looked at myself as fucking being a Dread. But shout out to them Dreads though. Now, oh shit, I'm Dread like a motherfucker. But I'm just saying how, I guess, innocent in a way. But the other side of what I'm saying is how it manifested. It manifests in many different ways for, you know, different people. Do you see what I'm saying? But for me, that's what it was. And also, of course, I learned how to, I'm very intuitive when it comes to certain things and shit like that. But the bottom line of what I'm saying here is that it has nothing to do with sex. You could be a man, be a divine feminine, just like you could be a man being a divine masculine too, or a female being a divine masculine too. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're a female, or you're thinking more, with your intellect instead of using your intuition. Guess what? Your masculinity, because it's all inside of us. So in other words, when we're talking about understanding the law of gender, you know what I'm saying? It's like you understand you have your intellect. Your intellect is considered your masculine or your conscious mind, if you want to put it that way. Your conscious mind, then you have your subconscious mind. Masculine, feminine, anything artistic, creative, that goes with the flow. There's certain things that's your feminine side. That's why a lot of artists, in so many words, are in touch with their femininity, with their creative side, their intuition, all of that shit. And that's pretty much what this is all about. So how does that help you? Now, how do you apply that into your life? You apply it into your life by understanding that you got to keep those two in harmony, meaning your intuition is not less than your intellect, and your intellect is not more than your fucking intuition. They got to come together. In fact, if I would have to say which one's greater to me, the your intuition is. However, your intellect is also needed because what I'm saying, even for me to talk about the shit that I'm talking about now, guess what I got to use? My intellect. And I'm also using my intuition. I'm getting my messages. Things are coming out, being creative as I'm speaking. So the masculine and feminine exist in everything. There's a lot of fucking orgies going on here. So which also going to bring me to the point that I wanted to make earlier. That's going to be more of a side note. You know what I'm saying? Because this is also like when I was talking about religion. All is mental. You got to understand. When you look at God and figure of speech, is very important. Figure of speech is very important. What makes poetry poetry? It's not the words, but it's how it's being said. Do you see what I'm saying? Just like what makes it's how you say things. It's not what you say, but it's how you say it. And that's what a figure of speech is. See, that's what a lot of people don't understand. When we talk about, I don't remember who was saying that, but we always say the black man is God. It is God because our ways of thinking, acting, reflect nature. That's why we speak slangs because it affects you a certain way. When you listen to hip hop, there's a certain way they say shit. It affects you a certain way. Even if a motherfucker, you know what, I got to get the bag. That alone affects you a certain way, puts you on a certain vibration. You know what I'm saying? And that's how the priests, in so many words, they speak in slangs and figures of speech, and that has a profound um, effect on us. And I'll give you a perfect example. You gotta unravel the mystery, and that's why a lot of people who actually goes to church are not living a spiritual life. When you look at God as a man, see you got to process all of that shit too, and that's how far the law of gender goes. When you start to live it, when you become that knowledge, you can apply it in different aspect of your life. When you're looking at God as just a man, therefore, what you're truly doing is now we know, God protects us. Yes. We know that God's love us. Yes. But it's still distant from you. Do you see what I'm saying? It's still distant from you. And if you're looking at God as a woman, then you'll see the nurturing side of God, right? Because when you're looking at God as a man, you're not gonna see the nurturing side of him. You see the protection, the leading side of it, which is all cool and dandy, which is all part of it. Do you see what I'm saying? But it's important for you. That's why you have to relate to God, though, because psychologically you're already stopping yourself. You creating distance between you and God. And when I say like you are God and I call myself God, I'm not talking about in terms of power. I'm talking about in terms of essence. My essence is divine, like Father, like Son. So, see, when you understand shit like that, it puts you on a whole different level. And that's the only way for the words to become flesh. That's when you become the scripture. And that's what transformation is. Now you live in a spiritual life. But you got to understand the psychological aspect of that bullshit. Like for me, God is my bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like the mill's always, and I'm not saying this in the sense of trying to denigrate God, not at all. In fact, what I'm truly saying is when you look at God as a lover, like Bonnie and Clyde type of shit, when I say my bitch, not like to put her down, but that's my nigga and shit, endorsement. When you look at him that way, you have a greater connection with him. And that's the science behind our ancestors using regular terminology for us to understand God. That's why mythology is being put in human form for you to relate to it. Because if you can't relate to it, you have no power. That's why those people who goes to church, you know what I'm saying, they're looking at God as parents instead of as your lover or your bitch. You know what I'm saying? The meal's always ready before I even show up. It's a different mentality. It's a different approach. So again, when we talk about being like God or being God, we're not talking about I have the same power as him. To a certain degree, I do, but I'm talking about in your essence. Most importantly, too, that's like a motherfucker. Like that's like okay, let's just say you a child and you just happy, that your mom and dad is around the house. That shit don't make sense. When the kid is happy, mom and dad is home. This motherfucker's gonna be right next to mom and dad by making it personal, customized. You gotta customize your God, and that's exactly what they do. So when you follow religion, what you don't understand is that God had been customized, and that's why you're not truly living a spiritual life. It's been customized. First of all, you got a white Jesus. It's been customized that way. Then all you got to do, you got to obey. But there's no intimacy. There's no connection. You got no juice. You know what I'm saying? Let me get my shit. You gotta get your juice up, baby. Mm. Lubricate, man. You're too rigid. Too tough, man. Yeah, man, you got to soften up a little bit. And that's what love does. But most importantly, on that same state of mind, though, you have to customize God. That's why we have those fucking statues to customize our God, to bring life into it, to make it relatable to us. And that's where your transformation comes in. And that's how we're giving sights to the blind. That's your true awakening. That's how you come on, man. What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? You have to personalize God. So every time you look at Jesus in the fucking Bible, put your name in that shit. You know what I'm saying? He walked on water, motherfucker. You walking, you controlling your emotion. That's what walking on water is. And violent, doing like what the fuck was it? Was it a hurricane or some shit? A storm, whatever the fuck. You walk on that shit. When you understand the law of rhythm, you neutralize it. You have control because all Jesus means is just a higher state of consciousness. That's all that shit is. But most importantly, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because and it all ties back to we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And that's why you can't disembodied spirituality from your life. If you do, well, guess what, man? You fucked. That's when you're repeating that birth and death cycle. You have not transcended. You eating from the tree of good and evil. See, there's so many different aspects and layers of that. You're looking at things from a duality perspective instead of polarity's perspective. Because the whole point of polarity, it's not just two sides of the coin, but it's for you to realize it's one coin that has two sides. So understanding like the whole game, this is a mental institution. And that's why for you to be sane, you got to get in touch with your spirituality. There's no way around it. Open up your heart. You know what I'm saying? And that's when faith comes in. That's when, wisdom comes in. That's when all that shit happens. But most importantly, you have to understand, psychology. I mean, what's the word that I'm looking for? You have to understand the effect of the psychology of your thinking, of your psychology. Understand the psychology of your psychology. Do you see what I'm saying? Because the whole purpose of you learning about the scriptures is for you to become that and understand that you are God, meaning your essence is God. Just like the ocean drop, it's the same shit as the ocean. Or what I'm trying to say too here is you have to embrace all side of God and all side of yourself in so many words. Not just as a father, not just as a mother, but also as a lover. Some of you, it will probably be hard for you to even think about it like that. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for you to even think about it that way because it would be too personal. It's like you know how to play your position instead of being part. You want to stay on the sideline. I'm in the game, baby. I'm in the game. You see what I'm saying? And if you can't see God as a woman too, it's like so. Therefore, if you have a girl, if you're a man, you have a girl, you don't see the divine in her neither. Do you see what I'm saying? That's why the whole talk about man, women, and all that shit would come together. You see what I'm saying? Now, with that being said, oh shit, 42 minutes. I must have been talking a whole bunch of shit. Now, with that being said, guys, you already know, Haïtien, l'esprit.